Yeah.
Sewing with friends, sewing with my new besties, and hassling Kim.
You are also the master teacher of the pillowcase, yes?
Not really.
You are! See, this is her being very humble. She taught another attendee how to make a pillowcase.
Well, I'm helping her take it apart now.
Okay, let's go.
I absolutely love Cotton Club. Cotton.
It's early in the morning. It's okay.
Early in the morning, and I haven't been drinking yet, but I love the retreat. It's the first chance that I've had to have a vacation by myself in many, 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 many years, and I'm getting something accomplished other than the fact that I can't find my car keys, but hey.
It's okay. They'll turn up. They'll turn up. No one's going to let you leave here without your car keys.
I can't leave without my car keys.
Thank you.
So sorry you're not here, Paula, but you're manning the ship.
Yes.
So.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. I am decked out in our Hawaiian gear because today is an island hopping day. We get to talk about Mystery 50. It is fun. It is awesome. We're going to have tons of incredible stuff for you guys coming up. I promise, guys, it's empty. It doesn't have alcohol in it. It is 9:30, I swear. It's just a cute little cup that Dominic happened to have handy, and I grabbed this morning. So, good morning. I am intrigued, Sylvia. I saw that you are checking in an Alaskan in the Mojave Desert. It's interesting that you would go from Alaska to a desert in the summer, but I love that journey for you. I love how you got there. All right, Gail, I am so sorry. You are in, you're checking in from Nebraska, and you're at the vet with your 2 kittens getting their shots. Yay that they're getting shots. I am sorry that you're going to have to be there for them for that. So, yeah, Jana, we love those retreat testimonials. Those ladies had so much fun. I was so glad to be able to capture all those videos of them. All right, good morning. We are here. We are live. I always forget to do the like and subscribe thing. So wherever you are, like, subscribe, share, do all those things because we have an incredibly informative video today. And if you're like me, we're going to spend the next week seeing a lot of questions in our groups that if people just watch these videos, they would have all the answers and it would be fun because they would be the ones being able to answer all these questions. Good morning, Quilting Cartel from Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so we are going to start first, as we always do, with questions that have been submitted by you guys. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit your question. These are on the table in front of me. I have no idea where we're going with these. I think Paul is trying to stump me with some of these. I don't know if she's taking questions you guys get and modifying them, but we'll see. Maybe we'll learn something together this morning. The first question comes to us from Charlene O'Connell from Queen Creek, Arizona. Charlene, if you're watching this, I would love to know where Queen Creek is. I grew up in Arizona. I grew up in northern Arizona. I'm always interested to see kind of the small towns in Arizona and where they pop up. I never know where the edge of a jelly roll is with the pinked edges. Do we go all the way to the edge of the pinked edge or in the concave area? Oh, Charlene, this question is super timely. On last week's show, we talked all about jelly roll races, a jelly roll. I've seen pictures of you guys sewing your jelly rolls. I loved all of that. Saturday was such a fun sew day. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to sew a jelly roll. I'm very sad, but I appreciated seeing all the work that you guys were doing. Now, let me see here. I think I actually have, hold on, coming right back. A jelly roll. All right. So we still have these hanging out on the table. Thank gosh they're still here. So they have pinked edges. And so we talked last week that manufacturers do pinked edges on pre-cuts like jelly rolls, like charm packs, like layer cakes. All of the pre-cuts typically have ridges. They have pinked edges. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller. And so they do that from a manufacturing perspective. So when they cut, they don't have a lot of fraying and they don't have a lot of strings whenever you receive those pre-cuts. They're not super attractive. And so they want to make sure it looks clean and precise. And so this is a common debate. Do you sew to the peak of the pinked edge or do you sew to the valley of the pinked edge? And so last week, We had a couple different strategies for that. And Erin, actually, I see Erin just put in her comment. This was a strategy that was suggested, was actually just cutting off the pinked edges completely. So taking your rotary cutter and getting rid of them. And it is tedious at times because you're taking a pre-cut and you're cutting it. But if it's confusing to you, if you're worried about it being unclear, if you're worried about it being inconsistent, cutting it off and starting with a square shape is an absolute viable way of taking care of those pinked edges. I am a big fan of splitting the middle and eyeballing it right down the middle. And so not picking a peak, not picking a valley, but going right down the middle. I know some people like the peaks and some people like the valleys. I think the only piece of advice I will give you when sewing with pre-cuts is to be consistent with your choice. So as you're sewing, if you choose peaks, everything has to be peaks. If you choose valley, everything has to be valley. So make sure that you're just consistent and everything will geometrically fit together. That's how those pre-cuts work. So if you're doing one, definitely be consistent. Me, I typically tend to forget. So I just go right down the middle of them, which is the best of both worlds. Let's see here. So Michelle says she picks one spots and sticks with it. Exactly. Pick a peak, pick a valley, pick the middle. Joe says she learned the hard way to vacuum both sides of the jelly roll before unrolling. Joe, that's a fantastic tip and a trick. Because as I'm sitting here and I've got this jelly roll on the table, it is definitely generating dust and lint. And if you unroll it, depending on what you're unrolling it on, that lint has to go somewhere. Mass is never created nor destroyed. So it has to go somewhere. And if you don't vacuum it up, it's going to go onto whatever surface you're unrolling it. Let's see here. Jan is saying since sizing is inconsistent between manufacturers, she's absolutely right on that. First, measure the pre-cuts before deciding what spot to use. You were absolutely right because some manufacturers measure to the valley, some to the peak, some to the middle when they're actually telling you it's a 5-inch square. So make sure that you measure and you make the decision and stick with it from beginning to end of the project. And so, Jana, to that point, be very careful when you're mixing pre-cuts from different manufacturers in the same project. Otherwise, you will end up with things that are just a little tidbit off. And if you're okay with that, then mix with reckless abandon and see where you end up at. All right. Let's see here. Second question. Thanks for your question, Charlene. I appreciate your question this morning. Our second question comes from Karen Thompson from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been quilting for about 3 years now. Woohoo! And I'm finally ready to try free motion quilting, but I'm terrified of messing up a quilt top I've spent months piecing. Do you have any tips for building confidence before I tackle my first real quilt? Should I practice on scraps first or just dive in? So yes is the answer to that question. All right, so free motion quilting is hard for what I will call an advanced beginner, at 3 years an advanced beginner. When I was first learning to quilt, it was all stitch in the ditch, right? So you get your walking foot out and you just stitch in every ditch, everywhere you have fabric joined, that is where you quilt. Everything is straight line, everything is geometric, everything meets in the middle. And then I remember it was a big deal to convince myself that it was okay to move a 1/2 inch off the ditch. And so a straight line. And so I did many, many years where it was just a straight line. And so when it comes time to free motion quilting on your domestic machine, so not on a long arm, but on your home domestic machine, I highly, highly, highly recommend using smaller projects. And so if you've got those quilts that it's a little bit left over and it's not going to be another project, or you've got a baby quilt that didn't turn out the right way, or you've got some scraps of fabric, that is definitely a good opportunity to try the free motion quilting. Because once you drop the feed dogs and you start free motion quilting, it is a challenge to figure out what pressure, what balance, and how to get the design that you want, especially if you're not using a guide or a ruler to generate a consistent pattern. And so the first time you try and move it and there's no presser foot holding it down and there's no feed dogs pulling it through, adjusting to that tension is something you definitely don't want to do on a fully finished quilt top. So I recommend taking small projects, taking scraps, getting used to the feel of what that movement is like. Also, I mean, they make tons of templates and tons of gloves. And so in that situation, you're going to want to know, is that going to work for me before you start loading up your lap or your twin or your queen size quilt? Now, free motion quilting for me has always been a practice in speed. Because like I said, you don't have that presser foot and you don't have those feed dogs. And so when I am going, I am consistently inconsistent in how much I am moving the fabric. And that actually comes out in a variable stitch length in the free motion quilting. So that is definitely a technique to practice. Look at what you've done, adjust, practice, look at what you've done, adjust, practice. And Upchurch says she practices on table runners or placemats. Those are fantastic small projects for you to practice on as well. But you definitely want to make sure that you're getting your speed and how quickly you want to move consistent. Otherwise, you're going to end up with stitch lengths that are all over the board. And then, once it comes time to actually doing the big project, you have to give yourself a lot of grace and a learning curve. I guarantee you, if we all looked back at our very, very first quilt, we would be aghast at how this didn't work out and this didn't work out and this didn't work out. But you know what? It was done and we got better. And we took what we learned from the first quilt and made a better second quilt and a better third quilt. And so that is exactly what advice I would give you as you try your free motion quilting. You are going to get better. You're going to learn. And eventually you're going to be doing it and not even thinking about it. But the first thing you have to do is start trying to learn, to figure out what works for you and to get to the point where you can actually do it without any angst, without any anxiety that you're feeling, Karen. All right, Karen, thanks so much for the question. That was absolutely fantastic. I appreciate it. If you guys have any tips or tricks for a newbie that is trying free motion quilting for the first time, please drop them in the comments for Karen to check out. All right, before we jump into what's going on in the shop, I wanted to remind everyone, don't forget to stay to the end of the show for hanging out with me. We're going to drop a question. This one's a fun one. This one got the team thinking about it and debating and discussing. So we'll drop a question in the end of the show, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift certificate to the Cotton Cuts shop. I think this time we're going to pick maybe a super creative answer. So we will see where that takes us. So Joe Mosley has a fantastic idea. I think it applies literally for anything new that you're doing. Practice 30 minutes a day for 30 days and you're an expert. I love that suggestion. Everyone can allocate 30 minutes a day for a month. And then all of a sudden, you know everything that you're supposed to do. Let's see here. Let's see here. So Terry did a video on So Powerful Purse. Fantastic, Terry. Thank you so much for supporting that incredible organization. As you know, they're friends of Cotton Cuts. We love So Powerful and all the work they're doing to bring products to underprivileged girls. All right, so what's happening in the shop and what has shipped? We have a lot of things going on in the shop because we have some big projects coming and we're about to finish some projects. And so it is a bonkers week of a smorgasbord. So we have classic memberships. So those have shipped. If you're a platinum member, that is the last one in the series. So you guys are going to get those lovely fabrics. They're going to be delighting and inspiring you. And then we will be sending the email for what's coming next month. Don't forget, a platinum membership is one where you get to choose. Do you want a classic? Do you want a Java? Do you want a modern maker? Do you want a chroma? You get your choice of which membership you would like to subscribe to in that given month. All you have to do is let us know and we'll happily post it in the mail to you. All right. So we also have our big reveal for Flyway coming up. And so that is coming up on November 7th. In order for us to get there, we have to ship you guys Clue 9, which is going to happen next week. Flyway, it's one of these things, like we get so enwrapped in everything that's new, but I'm like, we're still doing Flyway. That is still an ongoing mystery for us. I am super excited. That reveal is November 7th at 1 o'clock Central Time. We're going to have guests. We're going to be able to show you lots of fantastic quilts, and it's going to be a really good time. And we're probably going to give away free stuff because that's what we do here. Under the Sea, Clue 3 ships on Friday this week. So what that means is that it is now officially our last call. So tomorrow, we are taking down signups for Under the Sea for good. They're going to come off the website. It's going to go into the vault. You can try and reach out to us, but unfortunately, Carrie's probably going to have to tell you no. So make sure that you get signed up for Under the Sea by tomorrow so we can get you caught up and get you on that journey and that fun project with us. Now, I want to take a minute and talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on kind of outside of Cotton Cuts, but impact us. So in the past month or two, we are starting to see some delays in receiving fabrics. And so I know that you guys have been on the fabric journey with us for a while, and we're a subscription company. And so when the fabric is delayed to us, it means we can't do what we need and we can't get the fabrics to you. And so when I am seeing this, and I'm seeing it from multiple manufacturers, and we, of course, here are doing the best we can to make sure that when the fabric arrives, it is right out the door the next day to you guys. But it feels like what happened during the pandemic. And so, you know, we would have cargoes that would come in, that would be docked, and then they would just sit there. and the manufacturers be trying to pull it from the dock. And by the time it gets to them, then they have so much. So there's all of these delays that are happening in the supply chain for fabric right now. And additionally to all of that, there are increased costs to each one of the freighters that comes across. So each one of the cargo loads, each one of the boxes is actually costing a significant amount more for the manufacturers to import, in addition to all the tariffs that are happening on. So I'm sharing all of this with you guys because we are assessing right now what a Tim Holtz delay is looking at for us. So this poor project, it is such a fantastic program. I love these fabrics. They are so outside of my comfort zone. It is again going to be having an impact of a delay. And so we were notified by Free Spirit that these fabrics are going to be delayed. So we are assessing right now what exactly delayed means. When they said it's going to be delayed a month, does that mean beginning of the month, end of the month? These are things we are working with our partners on right now. I don't want to tell you guys we're going to push it forward a month, because if we can get it 2 or 3 weeks later, we can absorb that time in our process and keep you guys on time. So we need to know more before we can make changes. I'm also sharing this with you guys because for Oasis, which is an Under the Sea colorway, we were told by the manufacturer, it's coming this week, it's coming this week, it's coming this week, it's coming this week, it's coming this week for 6 consecutive weeks. And so that fabric was clearly delayed beyond what we expected it to be. They thought they were going to get it. They thought they were going to get it. They were misinformed by the people working the docks and receiving those fabrics. So I'm going to put an email out to all the Oasis detective today explaining what we're going to do as a go forward plan. That fabric is here. Our team is working on it. They're cutting it. And we're going to get all Oasis detectives back on track and caught up with everyone. This is one of these ones. It feels like I said it. I'll say it again. Kind of like a post-pandemic world where people are trying to pull things and are getting told a certain amount of information, and then labor's not there to move it, and then they can't get it to us. And so we are doing the best we can as kind of the last line of defense, managing these delays. I'm giving you guys information because we've heard it from 2 manufacturers in the past couple of weeks. And so more will be coming. As we know, we will communicate, but I hate the communication of, well, it's going to be delayed. ... I want to make sure we have the plan on how we keep everyone on track. So just a heads up, Tim Holtz might be delayed, but it might not be. And, you know, we're so close to the end of the Tim Holtz. I'm hoping we take this time to get caught up, right? To actually, I mean, we're at, I think, month 10, 11 on that one. So let's take this time, get caught up, get all those blocks in good shape, get all those pillow kits made. So that way, when the next color comes, you guys are absolutely ready to get started. So Quilting Jenny Donna Winiger says it's all good. Don't stress isn't. I think means like it is what it is. Don't stress. It is one of these things. I do like keeping our commitments. I like shipping things on time to you guys. But I want to make sure you guys are aware that this is just happening in the world around us. And of course, all of it's impacting price. And so we're trying to manage all of that the best we can because we like being a company for you guys. Let's see here. We're also working on island hopping pre-cut kits, which is definitely something that we are putting together, and we're going to get out the door starting next week. We're going to talk a lot more about that program here in a minute. Get the finishing kits for Flyaway. So for Flyaway, we are about to put those fabrics up on the shop probably here in the next week or 2. When we do that, it does consume a lot of resources for a couple of days because you guys are going in and buying the extra fabrics. So I want to make sure we time that around a couple of the announcements we have. So Deborah, definitely stay tuned to our Facebook groups. If you have not had a chance to sign up to get early access to be notified when those fabrics are available, head to the Cotton Cuts website. Under Puzzle Mystery Quilt, there's fabric waitlist. Put your email in there and you will know the minute it hits the website. All right. And of course, we've got Rosa's Holiday Your Way. So this is coming next week for us. It's, 2 weeks, October 8th. So this week I am talking about, or is it next week? It's next week. It is next week. Whew. Holy cow, I am in fall mode. Okay, so today we're talking island hopping. Next week, we're going to talk all things Rosa's Holiday Your Way. And so for those of you that haven't joined us before for this is our way to have a countdown to a holiday, countdown to New Year's. There's fabric, there's notions, there's gifts. It is a really wonky good time. And so join us next week where we will talk about all the different layers that are coming with it. We do have some fun new surprises for you guys this year, as well as some old favorites are going to be coming into the mix. So stay tuned for us for next week. Okay, so now to our main event where we're going to be talking about Mystery 5-0's island hopping. So for those of you that joined us for Aloha, this little bit's going to be a little bit of a recap. Cotton Cuts has partnered with a company called Mystery 50. Mystery 50 is a coalition of quilt shop owners that longtime own quilt shops. They pull together a bunch of their mystery quilt programs and are working with about 200 quilt shops all across the United States and some in Canada to help us have mystery programs. These are designs that have been tested. These are designs that have been used in a shop, and they're actually providing us with that design content so we can share these programs with our members. And we did Aloha. Aloha was our first time through the Mystery 50 program, and the quilts were stunning. They were amazing. It was a choose your own adventure. There were a lot of elements that we added to it to make it a Cotton Cuts version of the Mystery 50 program. And I love seeing your pictures in our groups with those finishes. I love seeing the alternate designs, the way you guys made all those quilts your own. Super inspiring to me. I know I talked about this last week. This isn't it has to stick to the pattern in order to be a Cotton Cuts quilt. To make it a Cotton Cuts quilt, it has to be your quilt. And I love everything about that for Aloha. So now it is time to talk about our second adventure, which is called Island Hopping. And so, Tina, I'm going to come back to that in a second. So it's island hopping. And the idea is that we started out and we want to do 4 of these mysteries a year with a bonus 5th mystery if you participate in all 4. The Mystery 50 team is going to extend that timeline a little bit. We'll come back to that. But right now the intention is still to do 4 larger mysteries and then a 5th bonus mystery if you participate in all 4 of them. Each one is on a 5-week sewing timeline. So what that means is that we are going to open signups for Island Hopping on October 1st. Then the sewing will actually start in November and we're going to finish in December. I'm going to give you those exact dates here in a minute. But every week you're going to get a new clue and you're going to be able to sew in that week. We are also going to continue for Island Hopping our Saturday socials. So we'll get together on Saturday and post progress and give encouragement and ask questions in our Facebook group. But the idea is each week you're going to get a new clue. And then in the 5th week, you get the reveal and you actually have a finished quilt top at the end of the day. It's fast, it's fun, but it's also a good way to kind of stay accountable because if you're like me, like, if I've got this project and, it's 2 months between clues or I get a clue and I miss it and then I get behind, it is a super synthesized version of doing a quilt top with a large group that keeps you going and keeps you moving. Let's see here. So Lisa's asking a question about, do you need to participate with the same quilt shop for all 4 to get the 5th? Yes, you do. So Lisa, you can reach out to us and we can get you some more clarification around that. But it is my understanding that you need to do all 4 with Cotton Cuts to get the Cotton Cuts 5th quilt. Let's see here. So how is island hopping going to work? As you guys know, we do things just a little differently than the Mystery 50 other quilt shops. So when you see this program at other quilt shops, you're going to be like, but that's different than how Cotton Cuts is doing it. And so there are definitely some ways in which we're going to deviate for this design specifically. And so the first is, of course, we're still going to offer pre-cuts. So there is an option to get a fully pre-cut kit. So we're going to cut all the triangles, all the squares, all the strips for you. It's over 800 pieces are going to be pre-cut. That is one of those things that is different with Cotton Cuts is we are actually pre-cutting all your parts and pieces. The second is that we simplified the fabric choices with Island Hopping. So Island Hopping is designed to be used with 5 fabrics. We're actually only using 4 fabrics because that extra fabric really didn't add much to the design and it simplifies it from your perspective to only have 4 fabrics instead of 5. We're going to look at these colorways here in a minute and I'm going to show you kind of what why the fabric choices were made and what impact they have on the final design. There is a design option here that included some very narrow sashings and some cornerstones. So if you're in other Mystery 50 groups, you'll see some that have a sashing option that's 1.25 inches wide with 1.25 inches squares for cornerstones. Guys, that is something that we're not going to be doing that as part of the Cotton Cuts offering. It adds a lot of complexity. It's very fiddly. That is a very difficult dimension to get consistent even on a die cutter. So we are not going to be offering the sashings and the cornerstones. You may see that at other shops and other finishing designs. We're going to give you other options for finishing that do not include this option because it actually makes it very complicated. Also, other shops are going to have multiple border options. We have 1 border option for this one. Again, we're simplifying it so that way you guys can focus on a different design step and make it your own. The quilt size is going to be 68 by 68. Is it square? Okay, so sorry. So we've got a typo here. Paul is going to figure out what the finished dimension is. Don't listen to anything I said. And so we also will continue our Rosa recommends. And so I really liked this as part of Aloha, where we had our Rosa, which is the name of our logo, come in and give recommendations. Really differentiating, are you a creator or are you a maker? So creators like to take the bits and pieces and make it their own. And I see this, but it inspires me to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. Versus the quilter that's a maker. And it's, give me a pattern, I'll follow the pattern, and I am very happy with the end of it. So we've created Rosa Recommends as a means for those people that want to just follow the pattern and tell me what to do. And I am perfectly happy sewing it together, turning off my brain, and just making a beautiful quilt at the end of the day. We are also, for this design, I want to hit on this moment because it is different than most quilts and block of the months that we have seen. 68 by 86 is the finished design. I thought it was that. I thought it might have been transposed, but it is 68 by 86, so a good throw size quilt. Now, back to what makes this different than other block of the months. So this is a design that uses half rectangle triangles. And so that is a concept that can be a little daunting as a quilter. I know that I participated in a round robin block and it was a half rectangle triangle and my brain broke because sewing half rectangle triangles is different than what we are traditionally used to for any really base designs. And so a half rectangle triangle, let me show you guys what they are. So this is an example of a half rectangle triangle, right? So it is a rectangle that is cut in half on the diagonal. So we have invested in a die so that way we can die cut all these parts and pieces for you. Now in a traditional world, quilters are used to, hey, let's put our right sides together, let's line up our edges, and let's stitch along this edge. And all of a sudden, we've got our half square triangle and everything is groovy, except for if we do that, all of a sudden, we don't have the rectangle shape we're doing. And so it does take a little bit of a mind flip because what you have to do to sew these is do something wonky like this. We're going to have an in-depth tutorial to help you get over this so that way you guys can make these lovely shapes and that they come out right the first time. Since they're die cut, you won't have to worry about dog ears and trimming. So we are going to be offering a special tutorial using our die cut parts and pieces to get those half rectangle triangles sewn correctly the first time with minimal rework. If you are not participating with us, or if you're going to use the off the bolt or shop your stash, there's a Creative Grids ruler that was been recommended to use by the Mystery 50 team. And it is a half rectangle trim tool. So the idea is cut your rectangle bigger and trim it down using this ruler. We're going to have these in our shop and they're going to be included with those that are cutting off the bolt, just because those half rectangle triangles are going to be tricky. And given the accelerated timeline, we want to give you enough tips and tricks to shortcut that process so you stay on track with everyone else. Let's see here. Jean Thompson says she loves the weekly clues. Karen Fry, can I buy a $50 gift card still for Aloha and count it as buy-in for the first quarter? Karen, that is a fantastic question. I'm going to have my team reach out to you to answer that one. And then, all right, Patricia Menchaca is here. Good morning. All right. And then let's talk about some of the things that we're going to be doing differently for island hopping. And so there's a couple things. When we did Aloha, we offered a wide backing. So that way the idea is you're going to get your kit, you're going to get your wide back, and you can have everything in one enclosed package. Well, on our retreat, we had some loud voices that wanted us to be able to offer a pillowcase. For multiple reasons. I believe that the pillowcase option is so that way you can store your quilt inside of it, but also so that way you'd have a pillowcase that matches your quilt top on the bed or wherever you're using it. So what we're going to do for island hopping is we're going to offer a wide back pillowcase kit. So it's going to be an all-inclusive item. So you'll get enough wide back backing to finish your quilt top. And then you're going to get pre-cut pieces to be able to make pillowcases. So when I say that, it is going to be a burrito method French seam pillowcase where the main body of the pillowcase is going to be the same as your backing. It will have a cuff fabric from your quilt. So it's all going to connect together. And then an option to put in that sashing. So that way, not only are you going to get the finished quilt top, but when you purchase the wide back, you're going to get the wide back and enough to make 2 pillowcases that can be used with your quilt. And so this is like, I love this idea. We're going to try this here. If you guys love this and if this works for you, we'll look at ways at making it work for our PMQs, the one that we sign up for in December. And this might be an optional add-on that we can do for that. Kim Martin, I'm going to come back to the off the bolt option in just a second for that. Let's see here. We are also going to be, unfortunately, as I talked about earlier, we've got some shipping delays and pricing impacts. So the price on this one's going to go up to $175 for the pre-cut kit. Again, 800 pieces, half rectangle triangles, all the things. The price is going to go up to $175. The shipping is also going to go up a little bit on this one as well. Since we are in holiday surcharge days, we do have to increase the price of shipping because the post office increases the price of shipping to us because they know there's a boost in traffic on holiday shipping. So they're collecting money to keep their service going smoothly as well. All right, I want to talk about Rosa's Holiday Your Way. So we introduced Rosa 3-4 years ago, and this has been something we've done every holiday season for that entire time. There has been an element of having a mini mystery project that we do as part of Rosa. And so it's been a table runner, it's been placemats, there was a wall hanging, and the idea is it's a mini mystery. So you get a clue every other day through the month of November, and by the end you have a finished project. And when we were looking at it, we're like, why are we going to do that? And island hopping, let's just pick one. Island hopping runs on the same timeline as the Holiday Your Way mini mystery. It is holiday themed. All these fabrics are holiday or seasonal themed fabrics. And we're like, let us use that as our Rosa's Holiday Your Way mini project. So I've seen questions in the groups and emails that have come in about, are you guys going to be doing the mini project again, the mini mystery for Rosa? And the answer to that is no. We're going to use it island hopping. So as you're looking at your purchases and your budgets for this year, know that Rosa's Holiday Your Way will not include a mini mystery because we're going to use island hopping instead of that. Plus, it's a lot, you guys. Like, I don't know. November's pretty busy. And the thought of sewing 2 separate projects in the month of November is a little daunting even for me. And so we wanted to make sure that that was clear for you guys as you're looking at what's coming for you in November and December, that there will not be a mini project for Rosa in a mini mystery category. However, we're going to have a different project. I'll talk about that more next week. All right, so let's talk about this off-the-bolt kit option. So if you were to walk into a traditional quilt shop that's participating in this program, they will have fabrics in a traditional, hey, here's a pre-cut, here's a kit fashion. So you've got a half a yard of this, 3/4 of a yard of this, 3 yards of that, 2 yards of that. So, and then they package it together and there's usually a pretty bow on it. And it is all the fabric that you need to be able to take home and make a certain project. And so we didn't participate that way the first time for Aloha. However, for this one, given that we were specifically challenged to use holiday and seasonal fabrics, we have a couple of fabrics here in the shop that when we designed them up into this design looked super, super, super cute. But it was not enough fabric for us to be able to pre-cut it and be able to provide that as an offering with our online option. So what we're going to do, and those will be posted today and tomorrow, is offer a traditional, hey, we're going to give you a couple yards. So that way it's kind of an advanced version of shopping your stash. We've already looked at the design. We know how it's going to look. We know it's going to look fantastic. We put fabric in the right place so it looks awesome. And they're like stinking cute. They're over here. There's a couple sitting out over here right now. There's one that has these cute little cabins and bears. It's very kind of summery, camping themed. We also have another one that's, it's got a holiday theme to it with Santas. And so there's a couple we put together that were just too cute to pass up, but we couldn't die cut them, but we still want to give you guys the option. If you enjoyed the cutting part, if you want to participate in that way versus having the pre-cut option, we wanted to make sure that you guys had that available to you as well. However, I'm going to give you guys a warning. There's going to be less than 5 of those kits of each of those fabrics. So if when we put those traditional kits up on the shop, make sure you jump on them because they will be gone quickly. All right. Greta Sobel is asking, will the pillowcase info be available for Shop Your Stash? So those are only going to be made available to those that have purchased a wide back with us because the dimensions on that are going to be, they're going to be specific to how we're cutting that project. It's going to be pre-cut. So those are going to be just stitching and sewing. However, it is, Greta, it is a generally accepted burrito method of pillowcase making is what we're going to be using. So we can probably pull a generic pattern that tells you, you know, hey, you're going to need 3/4 of a yard of this and 1/4 yard of this, and this is how you cut it, and this is how you sew it. But for this case, when you're purchasing the wide back and the pillowcase kit, those are all going to be cut for you. So we're going to cut those the 2.5 inches. We're going to cut it the 9 inches, and we're going to cut the body of the pillow for you. So when you get that cotton cuts option, you're just sitting and sewing. You're not going to be doing any. You're not going to be doing any cutting of those pillowcases. All right. Oh my God, so many great questions from you guys. All right, so now let's talk about colorways. And so what I have for you guys on the show are the pre-cut colorways that we're going to be offering. And I want to give you guys, I love this because I get to give you guys inside information for hanging out with me about these colorways. And so I know we've seen these images on the website. And so these images are the colorways. Ours have what fabric number is which. And so that'll be on your kit. That's not a big surprise. I'm not sharing too much with you here. But as you're looking at these images, I want you guys to know that the fabrics that are on top of the image, and so that are the 2 squares that are resting on top of the other 2, these guys are the most prominent fabrics that are going to be used in your kit. So you're going to have more of these 2 prints than the 2 that are resting in the background. And so when you're evaluating these colorways, when you're looking at these fabrics, just know that these 2 that are on top are going to be used more in the finished quilt than the other 2. And the 2 that are resting in the background are going to be paired next to each other. And so some cases they have a higher level of contrast than others, but it's because when we mocked them up in the design, those 2 fabrics lurking in the background are going to be next to each other quite frequently. And these 2 on the top are used a lot in your finished design. That is all I can tell you about fabric choices for now. But I want to make sure that when you're selecting your colorway next week, that you're given the most information, most informed, and say you really, really, really love this light fabric here. I just want to make sure you guys know that that's going to be used with this guy, but these ones are the most prominent in the colorways. All right. So let's start with this one first. So this one's named Liberty. And I actually have the fabrics here to show you. Paula has lovingly cut these out and assorted them for me. So this is a Moda collection. This is by Stacy East Sue, who has created a whole holiday mini collection. And so every time I look at this, I don't know about you guys, but I see eyelashes in this one, but they're cute little flag pennants. And so if you haven't had a chance to zoom in on what the image is, they're flag pennants. Then of course we have fireworks. And then we have 2 stars. Now, as I told you guys, these 2 fabrics, they're going to live together. And so we wanted them to make sure that they had a high amount of contrast, but also still blended together and looked awesome. Again, it's holiday seasonal. So this is going to patriotic. This is going to 4th of July. This could also potentially, since the design is 68 by 86, it could also be used for a Heart of Valor quilt as well. This one's my favorite. Like, I hope if I get to sew one, this is one I get to sew, but this one is so stinking cute. This one is I think it's Hey Beautiful by Riley Blake. And so it is our cute little Halloween collection. And so it's got these cute, whimsical little ghosts. This is what it looks like, guys, on the cards. So it has the ghosts and it has the background, the like Halloweenish background. These 2 fabrics are going to be next to each other in the quilt. I actually just saw a post this morning where someone was unhappy because there was a lot of pink Halloween out there and a lot of purple Halloween. So for this one, we wanted to be intentional and go back to the orange and the black. And so you can see it's very kind of whimsical and cute. And then the 2 fabrics that are used the most are these lovely little dots and these stars, which are going to pull out fabrics and elements of the other 2 that I just showed you. This one is going to be stinking cute, you guys. I love it. And then the next one, that one is called Midnight. That is the name of that colorway. The next one we have is called Waypoint. And so this one's very, very pastel-y. This one is done by Giuseppe. So we know Juicy Juice well here at Cotton Cuts. This is one of his blender collections. And when we were looking at spring and at Easter, it was hard for us when we were designing it up to find bunnies that would die cut well enough to be read as bunnies, or Easter eggs that would be well enough to be defined as Easter eggs. And we're like, why don't we just come up with something that's spring and that's pastels and that's talking about the changing of the weather that comes in spring and make it last longer than just a traditional Easter holiday. And so in this case, these are the 2 fabrics that are used the most in the design. So it's this yellow and this peach. And then these are the colors that are going to be used next to each other throughout the design. And so this is called Fizz. These fabrics are die cutting up so amazingly well, you guys. You're going to get a lot of these colors. They're going to read as these colors. You're not going to be missing a lot of design elements. And so it was really just to get to a pastel-y pink. Now, just because we're calling it spring and, you know, it's called Waypoint, like that's the type of quilt that can be used in anyone's room who likes pastel and softer colors. We just redid our break room here and it is all pastel colors as well. So just because we're interpreting it to be the season of spring doesn't mean it has to only be used in pink. In spring, excuse me. Carla says she loves pink and purple for Halloween. I do too. I've discovered that I am definitely a whimsical Halloween person, not a death and end of the world type of Halloween. So yeah, I am definitely a give me these cute little prints every day of the week, and I am fantastic. On Instagram, we're seeing I love pink Halloween and pink Christmas. Yeah, I do too. I do too. Okay, this next one is called Sojourn. And so this is a Andover collection from their partner designer McCower out of the United Kingdom. And in this collection, we have these two fabrics that are used the most. And I want to show you guys, these are cute little whimsical little foxes and little wolves and owls. And they are at the right scale for this design. So I'll actually hold them up correctly the right way. And then they are used a lot in this quilt design, as is this, this spread apart dot. And then we have leaves and a browned dot floral print that is used, and these guys are going to be going together in the final quilt design. All right, Crystal Foster has a strong opinion on this Halloween debate. And so she's saying pink is not acceptable for Halloween. Purple and green are great though. Yes, I like the purple, the green, the orange, the black. Pink for Halloween it's interesting. All right, will the directional fabric work? Jean Thompson, yes. So we're cutting these at a scale. We actually put in a lot of work on this one because of the way this design is done. We have to be very intentional when we get directional fabric, and we had to make sure it was at the right scale so you could see it. And so we were given the directive, use seasonal, use holiday. And a lot of seasonal and holiday prints are at too big of a scale, and they would not read as the right color in the final design. We did a lot of work to find right scale prints so that way they would read coherently and consistently throughout the quilt. And we were also very conscious of the directional fabric as well. So Jean, all of that's factored into our pre-cut kits. You don't have to worry about that at all. It took us a long time to get there. I'm not going to lie. It was a big project to make sure that we picked collections that would work. All right, so my cards are out of order, so I'm going to have to jump ahead. Here we have Rendezvous. Rendezvous. They picked Rendezvous? That's hysterical. Okay, so you guys got to name these. So Rendezvous is an interesting choice for the Valentine's Day fabric. I think it was probably because we're doing island hopping. And if you're in love and you're island hopping, there might be some rendezvous involved. I don't know. You guys do you. This is fantastic. But in this collection, and so we have these Valentine's Day prints again from Moda. And so these guys are used the most in the print. So we've got a braided heart, and then we've got hearts with hooks. These guys are used the most. And then these guys are going to be used next to each other. We've got the pink hearts, and then we've got smaller pink hearts. So I don't oftentimes see a lot of Valentine's Day quilts out there. And so I'll be very interested to see this come together. And perhaps you have, I know I see classic members all the time that are like, we love heart fabrics, anything Valentine's Day. And so perhaps you have a space and that could be used all year round, which is absolutely fantastic for you. All right, I have to find this one. Here we go. And then this one is Snowdrift. And so for Snowdrift, this is, whenever we have a winter theme project, whenever we have a holiday theme project, I'm always encouraging my team to break out of just Christmas. It doesn't necessarily have to be religious to be seasonal and holiday. It can be, and there's definitely a place for that. And I'm not going to lie, there's a ton of stuff in my house that is very Santa and Christmas and trees and poinsettias. But I also do like having generalized winter fabrics. And I saw this collection, and again, it was at the right scale, and it made the most sense for us to include in this program. This is a beautiful winter quilt. If you have a cabin, or if you just like to cuddle up with snowflakes in the summer to remind yourself of winter, then this is definitely going to work for you. So in this quilt, these are the two fabrics that are actually used the most in it. And so blue, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, blue is hard to capture on the cameras here when we're doing our lives. So make sure that you're looking at the digital images on the website. And so this is these fabrics are actually used the most. And these snowflakes work so well in that position in the quilt. And then we have these two fabrics that are going to be used next to each other in the actual final design. And so that is Snowdrift. Now for these other ones, we have a lot of other colorways on the website. So I'm going to flash through them pretty quickly for you guys and just show you guys the names and the colorways. These are ones that we will have slightly less quantities of because like I said, we're making some other things work and we really wanted to have the best quality finished design, which is how we came to this. Jana is saying she prefers winter themes over Christmas and snowman is a favorite theme of Kathy's self and Snowdrift. Yes, that one's going to be fun. Snowdrift has some legs, you guys. You are not going to be sad to miss that. We have Magical, which is red, white, and black. And so we do red, silver, black as well for holidays, just because not every house is red and green. So red, silver, black has kind of an upscale with the metallic inlay to it. We have a Jennifer Sampu collection called Jolly. So this is just your traditional red and green. There's nothing novelty on this. So if you like Christmas, but you're not in on having something novelty on it, but still reading as holiday, this is a fantastic collection for you. For those of you that like the pink and the mint, we have Sugar Plum. So we just had this debate and discussion about Halloween and pink in its place. So if you like the pink and the green, this is the collection for you, Sugar Plum. We do have another 4th of July print. This one's called Starbird. And so this is by Minnick and Simpson. When I say it is 4th of July and it's Minnick and Simpson, these colors are going to be more of a traditional reproduction level of red and blue versus the modernized bright red and royal blue. So I want to make sure when you guys are looking at that it is by Minnick and Simpson. And because it is by Minnick and Simpson, it is more of a reproduction tone of red and blue when you're looking at that collection. We also have, this one was too cute to pass up. We have these, this is Tinseltown. It has these Christmas lights in it as well. It has that novelty print. And I know that it looks very similar to some of the other ones, you guys. This one is very different. When we line up the finished quilts, this one is very different because it has that novelty Christmas lights in it. We have a traditional rustic Christmas. We're calling this one Gingerbread. So it has the metallic inlay, but it is definitely more of a rustic home Christmas in the final design. And then Yuletide, which is a traditional green, red, metallic. None of these are batiks. I haven't shown you guys anything that's a batik. And I know that sometimes that's important in your decision-making process is you want to know which is a batik collection. And so the one that we have is not called that. I don't know why that's on there, but it is definitely on the website. So there's this one that is aqua and red and blue. This is a batik collection from Island Batik. It is a fantastic, this is, it's winter and it reads as Christmas, but it doesn't have to read as Christmas. This is the batik collection. And like I said, the top two are this ice blue and this cream, and the back is the red and the light blue. So those two guys will be next to each other. All right, that is all of the colorways. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about now is how we are modifying the design to keep the choose your own adventure part of what we really liked on Aloha. So this design is not going to be as, hey, we've given you 16 fabrics and separate them by light, separate them by dark, and then put them back together and then stitch them together. So we don't have that here, which is 4 fabrics. The way this is going to work is each clue is going to be make a certain number of units of this shape, make a certain number of units of this shape, make a certain number of units of this shape. And where we are going to give you ideas and inspiration, where you're going to be able to change the outcome is we're going to give you lots of different final designs with those building blocks and those shapes. There's going to be a recommended way. There's going to be a rows of recommends. For those of you guys that are makers, there will definitely be a rows of recommends of here's how a design can look. But we want to take those foundational blocks that you're making each week for 4 weeks and show you different ways in which you can change them up to have a very, very different result. And so that is where the choose your own adventure is going to be. I know it was vexing and I felt pain from some of you, like, how do I know what's a light and a dark? Please tell me the answer. And how do I know what's going to get paired together, right? So we're taking that out for this one. This one is definitely you know what you're going to be making each week. Where your choices are going to come in is in your final block and assembly layout. And so these designs and these shapes that we're going to be making are going to lay out in a lot of different tessellation manipulating patterns. And that is where the fun is going to be, is in your final design assembly when you get all of your subcomponents put together. All right. The black, white, and red Christmas, does it kind of have the plaid feel when finished? It is, I mean, the black, white, and red Christmas, it's got this metallic, it is not going to be plaid in final. It's not going to be buffalo check. I think, Crystal, it's not going to be that. It is that, unless you choose for it to be that, which you can definitely do. As I was just saying, that final design layout, depending on how you choose to lay out your parts and components, you could probably recreate some sort of buffalo plaid or a buffalo check if you choose to get there. All right, let me see here. Limited availability. Let's talk time timelines and dates. So October 1st, October 1st is Tuesday. Yes, Paula? October 1st is Tuesday? Okay, we're going to find out what day October 1st is. I'm pretty sure it's on Tuesday. Wednesday. Is it Tuesday? It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, guys. Sorry. So Wednesday, October 1st at 10 o'clock Central is when signups are going to open for these colorways. At 7 a.m. Central, we are going to be sending a link to those that sign up for early access. If you have not had a chance to do that, hit up the website that Paula just put on the screen, cottoncuts.com/mystery5-o. Go to the website. There's an email to put your name in to get early access. If you signed up for Aloha, you're still going to get that email access. So you can get on at 7 o'clock Central to make sure you get the colorway you want. All of them will be available. The pre-cuts, the cut off the bolt. You are definitely going to want to get there at 7 a.m. if you can. And it's really kind of a low bar, guys. You just have to put your email address in and you're going to get a link and you'll have 3 hours to get in and sign up. Like, totally go do it right now. There's no reason not to. All right. November 5th is when the first clue drops and the mystery begins. So make sure you have that on your calendars and you're allocating the time. So November 5th is when the first clue drops. It's going to be a Wednesday. We'll be sewing as a group on Saturday for the entire month of November. And then December 3rd is when the big reveal is. And so we'll have a show. We'll have 4 or 5 quilts here in the shop to be able to show you guys. And we'll see how creative my folks get this time in modifying the final design and making it completely their own. The shop your stash option. So I know this is something we did with Aloha, where it was, you have a buy-in and you're going to get the pattern each week and you can pull fabrics from your stash and we give you some guidance for fabric choice. That is definitely going to be an option for island hopping. However, it's going to be an option that we won't sign up for until a week or 2 later. And so we want to, like, that's something that we don't need to put things in the mail and get them to you, so that way you have them in time in November and a time when mail is already, overflowing through the postal system. So the Shop Your Stash is going to open a week or 2 earlier. I will announce it on this show. We will have tons of social media posts about it. You are definitely going to want to keep, if that is attractive to you, if you enjoy that. And Paula, to be clear, Paula was a Shop Your Stash participant the first time, and she made a fantastic quilt using a Ruby Star collection that she really had been eyeing for a long time and wanted to find a purpose for it, and she was able to use it. And so Paula loves her Shop Your Stash option as well. We are going to continue with Laura Langston. So that mystery, it's kind of a little like, it's a little television show, if you will, each week. And you just watch a little snippet and she solves crimes. It is so much fun. You guys need to make sure. So that story will continue throughout the island hopping mystery. And then, so things to do. Make sure you give all your important details, that you sign up now for early access. You pick out your colorway. You know if you're going to do the quilt backs and the pillowcases. Join our Facebook group. So we have a specific Facebook group for Mystery 5-0 that is specifically for these programs. It's specifically for Aloha and island hopping and luau, which comes afterwards. So make sure you join the Cotton Cuts 5-0 group. Block your calendars, guys. You have a whole month to get these dates for November on your calendar and December 3rd. So that way you can take a look. And am I going to be sewing on Saturday? Am I going to be sewing on Sunday? Can I commit to this program? Because it's going to be awesome. And you're going to learn how to sew half rectangle triangles. And then the last bit. So the piece that I love the most about this program is the community aspect. We have a super active group in that Facebook group. All you have to do is pop over, join it, and you're going to see people posting pictures. And again, that's where I get a lot of inspiration, is I'm seeing these different layouts that people are doing for Aloha. And like, I kind of want to take mine apart and redo it. It is that inspiring. It is very supportive. And it is making sure that everyone stays on track and on time with these programs, because we want you to finish these quilts. We're not doing these programs because we want to add to your stash. That's silly. We want you to actually do these quilts to finish them in order to be able to gift them, keep them, share them, do whatever you do with all the quilts that you've got. All right. So as a thank you for hanging out with me till the end of the show today, we're going to do a question This was a question that was crowdsourced by our team here at Cotton Cuts. All you have to do is find this video wherever you're watching us, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and answer this question to be entered to win a $25 gift card to our shop. All right. If you were stranded on a deserted island, what are 3 things we would find in your carry-on? Okay, so deserted island. Let's kind of talk about that. So I'm going to assume, as I'm thinking about this question, I was traveling somewhere, my plane went down. I have my carry-on because my check bag went down with the plane, and so I've got my carry-on on this island, and I'm waiting to be rescued. So this is not I'm on this island for the rest of my life, and I need to survive. It's the things that I have with me because I'm going to be rescued at some period of time. So for me, the things you would find in my carry-on I'm going to go beyond the passport, right? Clearly I've got something in there that's identification based, but for me in my carry-on, you're probably going to find peanut M&Ms because that's my #1 travel snack food. You're probably going to find some measure of crochet project because I like to crochet while I'm on the airplane. And you are probably going to find a broken Kindle, where I'm going to read. If I'm on an island, I probably had to swim to get there and it's probably soaked. And hopefully I can find some rice to dry it out. But for me in that Kindle, as you guys saw on the podcast with Ian and Becca, it probably has some trashy books on it because that's what I do when I'm stuck on an airplane. So those are the things you would find in my carry-on. What things would we find in your carry-on? Be as creative as you would like. I'm seeing Terry Cooper says she has a sewing kit and toilet paper. Terry, you carry toilet paper on an airplane with you? Okay, we're going to put that in that's Paula says smart category. iPad, sewing stuff, and clothes. Karen Fry, yeah. So sometimes I've got the wheelie bag and it definitely has clothes in it. My husband's a big fan of saying, there's shops where we're going, you don't have to carry everything on because if a bag gets lost, there are definitely going to be shops where we are going. Deborah says a book, EPP project, and dark chocolate. I like the way you fly, Deborah. Kim Martin says embroidery, a phone, and a book. And Upchurch, Cotton Cuts kits. Oh, she travels with our kids. That's awesome. Thread, needle, scissors, plus cross stitch kit, unfinished. Love all of that. Jana Elliott says, if I were stranded, I would have a book, a sweatshirt, and a punch needle kit. Punch needle. I think that's a fun thing to travel with, Jana. I'm going to steal that one. Knitting, crocheting, detective mystery books. We're going to keep these answers coming in. You guys are so much fun. All right. So some key reminders coming up. Our island hopping kits go on sale on October 1st. Don't forget to get early access. Join the groups. Big reveal November 7th. Rest of the colorways are on the website. All the fun things are there. And that's it for me, guys. You guys are super fast on the typing over here. I know you guys can't see the Instagram, but Anita Lynette says, if I were stranded on a deserted island, I would most likely have a bundle of crochet supplies, sunscreen, and a knife. Woof! Well, what airlines are you flying, Anita Lynn? Holy cow, I love it. Okay. That's it for us. Thank you guys so much for spending your Thursday morning with us. If there was anything I missed, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to our team, help@cottoncuts.com, or post your question in the groups, and we will answer your questions as they come in. This program is going to be awesome. We cannot wait to start this next chapter with you guys. I hope you guys get plenty of sewing in this weekend, get all of your projects that you want to get done, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you so much, and bye now. And cut! Thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.